The following books are now available from amazon.co.uk and amazon.com, written by their author, David Clark, and some republished by Bearton Particular Baptists. The important points to realise is that these stories are true. The first book is Converted on LSD Trip, that tells the story of David Clark and his conversion from crying to Christ back in the 60s. Following this is Trojan Warriors. This tells of David's Christian mission work to the Philippines. On David's return from his mission work to the jails in the Philippines, he felt it necessary to publish his book Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary, and then The Bearton Crisis, in order to deal with those issues of false teachings amongst professing Christians. It was then felt necessary to publish Bearton Strict and Particular Baptists, with a view to reach religious people who might be put off by the title of his book, Converted on LSD Trip. The next book is the libretto, written to tell his story in the prisons of the UK in the form of a punk rock opera called Borstal Boy, along with a special edition of his book, Converted on LSD Trip, under the title Borstal Boys. David's continuing story and life is told in his book, The Fall, Desperation and Recovery, which is the continuing story of David's life, seeking to follow Christ as best he can. The books following are doctrinal books. They are The Parousia by James Stuart Russell, that treats the subject of the second coming of Jesus Christ, The Sovereignty of God, The Total Depravity of Man by Arthur Pink, and Table Talk by Martin Luther. Then some interesting books, The Antinomian and The Kingdom of Heaven Taken by Prayer by William Huntington. We then have a series of 4 books by John Gill, The Cause of God and Truth, that deals with those objections that the Arminians raise against Calvinistic doctrines, and then his book, The Everlasting Covenant. Then the works of Tobias Crisp, which are his sermons called Christ Alone Exalted, a series of 3 books. We then have The Freedom of the Will by Jonathan Edwards, followed by Reflections on the Sabbath, seeking to bring out the inconsistencies of those who believe the law of Moses is the rule of life for the believer. And finally, Death by Lethal Injection and The Rise and Fall of Brother Bobby, which treats the subject of corruption, legal problems in the Philippines.